Hello everyone, I finally got my new camera, so I'm going to try and create a video here. On the table I have the tools that I'm going to be using, a piece of scrap paper here, scrap poster board. I have an old disc holder that makes for a nice planet stencil, a torn bit of sponge, and sometimes for small details I'll use a paintbrush. And also magazine paper you can find in just about any magazine that's glossy. I really don't have an idea what I'm going to do here. I'm just kind of make it up as I go along. I'll do a little planet. I'm going to start with your lighter colors and build up to dark. And usually in art it's just the opposite. But we're taking away layers here. We're not really adding them. Once we do our texturing, add a little brown in there. Give it a shot of some green. And take a piece of paper, crumple it up, and just lightly spread it on there. And you can do this a couple times to get the texture that you like. And if you think the color isn't quite coming out how you want, you can spurts another bit on there. I'm going to add a little bit of white for the poles. And that white will come off, but if I spray onto the paper itself, that'll actually transfer to the picture. Get ourselves a nice, interesting texture. And I'll take my black paint, create a little shadow. We'll have the sunlight coming from this direction. And we'll add in our little disc holder there. And now we'll just go ahead and go around the painting. Some brown. I'm going to have this in a cave, so I'm going to spray my brown way up high here. I don't need to completely cover it, but a good starting color like that. Throw in a darker brown just to give it a little bit of texture. And then I would throw in an odd color just to bring out some interesting formations, like the red. Now I want to cover the whole thing in black. Try and get a nice even coating. Now I'm going to start creating some cave walls. Again, I go back to the paper, turn this a bit so that you can just get a better angle at it, and I'm just going to press the paper down and move it along where I remember I put color. I can use my fingernails to scratch in some extra lines, but I'll be doing some more of that later. Now I want to have a little mountain coming up here in the middle, like that. And you can push straight down on it, or you can drag it a little bit for effect. Now we got a initial layer texture, but I'm going to go back through and add black back to it so we can create a second transition. This gives our picture depth. And sometimes the paper can mess with you and you have to fuss with it a bit. Alright, we're back out here. Now I made a slight mistake. Didn't add in some stars, so I'm going to try and do that now real carefully without getting it all over everything else. And all I'm doing is I'm taking a little piece of paper, spraying some white on it, shake off the excess, and then I'm going to flick it. Just for a star effect. Puts a couple stars out there. Now let's go ahead and take a look and see how our planet looks. Here's our planet. And we want to bring out highlights in our rock wall. So I take my tool here and just scratch out high points just to give it texture. If I want, I could add a stalactite. And just keep working that around. I look for things that kind of suggest, where a high point where a highlight should go. And try and build off that. Use the texture that moving that paint around provided for us. And if you follow that line, it comes out naturally. Like these little things here look like they could just be rocks sticking out of the wall. And I'm just slightly changing the tilt of my scraper here. As you can see, it's just a matter of going through what's already there and making something out of it. Now here we have these banded colors, so I'm going to try and make them into, like dragging this down here, it makes them stand out a little bit more. Now notice the paint there is dried a little bit, so I have just clear. Just touch it up with a little clear, and then you'll be able to take that paint and then scrape it again. Now when I put my specs on, my stars, I got a couple spots on here, so I'm going to just work those out of there, hide those. Change this here a little bit, create a high point, highlight. Try and real lightly just go over that. I can also add more detail in that I didn't normally scrape out. Add in a little bit of rocky features. We got the sunlight is coming from this direction, so we don't want to highlight so much on this side. We want to make sure that it looks like it's striking on the right side of it. As you can see, I kind of rotate my tool a little bit, my palette knife, just so I'm not scraping just one solid straight line. Give it more of a natural feeling. Have a little bit of dryness right here. Loosen our paint up, get it back being wet again. We have a nice little ridge going on here. So let's go ahead and build off that. And while it was straight across, you can see I kind of added some little spiky hills on here just to give it a more natural look. As the saying goes, nature hates straight lines. And then I got this little difference here. I'm just going to put a little tiny scrape. From here, I could do a lot more stuff. I could add in some water. I could put a waterfall down through here, put water in. More nebulous space. I could add vegetation so it doesn't look so dry and rocky. But I'm just going through right now and getting rid of all these little white spots from my mistake with not spraying my stars on before I started doing my texture. Here we go, it's the final. And hopefully I'll have some more to show you as I continue to work with my new camera. Thank you for watching.